Three friends were invited to a costume party. They went dressed as zombies, but only one of them is an actual human being. The other two are real-life zombies. Can you guess who? The first woman has zombie makeup filled with fake stitches. But she's smiling too much, which means she's a human. Zombies don't show emotion. The other two have expressionless faces and really pale skin. They're zombies for sure. John called the police claiming his best friend Mark was missing. Mark had stayed in John's house in Miami while John went on a business trip to Chile. Now that he returned, he found Mark had disappeared without a trace. But the police didn't buy it. How did they know John was lying? John claimed to have just come back from Chile, but he was super tanned. Yet when it's summer in Miami, it's winter in Chile. He was clearly lying. Adam stopped by a gas station at night. He filled his tank and went inside to pay. There were only two people inside, a cashier and a customer dressed in black. The cashier handed him a receipt and said his total was $5.05. But when he checked the paper, the total was $18. He paid, went outside, and called the police. Why? Because he noticed the cashier had written 505 on the receipt, and when you flip it upside down, it spells SOS. She was in danger. Monday morning started with chaos in Brook Hollow. Someone had robbed the bank, and the suspect was seen heading into Brook Hollow High. Detective Delgado rushed to the scene and found two teachers in the hallway. It didn't take long before he figured it out. Can you spot the thief too? Take a close look at the second teacher's sleeve. There's a bit of cash sticking out. She's the one behind the heist. Detective Ramos stopped three women outside a mall after receiving a tip about a fugitive in disguise. One woman worked as a florist, the other was a yoga teacher, and the last one was a tech consultant. Can you tell which one is actually dangerous? The florist. If you look closely, you can see the outline of a blade taped to her thigh under her skirt. She's the one who is trying to hide something. Lena and her friends headed to a cozy cabin for a chill weekend of games and ghost stories. But Saturday morning, they woke up and noticed their food was gone. The cabin door's glass was smashed. When they searched the woods, they figured out who had done it. Take a look at the image. Who's the culprit? There were bear tracks in the top left corner. Oh, and a cookie wrapper lying right there. The bears were the culprit. Tara and Mina are both pregnant. One of them works in a library, and the other teaches outdoor survival skills. Based on the photo, can you figure out who's putting herself in danger? It's Tara. Although Mina is rock climbing, she's very safe with all the top-notch equipment. But Tara is trying to reach for a very tall booking, standing on top of an unstable chair. That's dangerous. To get the secret location of a famous pop star's surprise concert, fans had to solve this riddle. They each got a text message that asked them to figure out what has keys but couldn't open locks, had space but no room, and you could enter but never leave. Can you guess the answer here? It's a keyboard. It was one of the hottest days of summer, and Marissa decided to go grab ice cream with her boyfriend. When they arrived at the shop, they noticed something weird. One of the people working in the shop wasn't human. Which one is it? It's the woman operating the ice cream machine. Look at her hand. It's green, and it's not a glove. She's only pretending to be human, that's for sure. Beck is also a solo space ranger. He travels the universe in his own spaceship with his pet elephant. The elephant needs to shower once a week, so Beck uses a lack of gravity to help him do that. He opens his spaceship's navigation system and 3 different planets pop up: Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. Can you help him choose the best planet to shower his pet? He should pick the planet where gravity isn't too strong, right? So he should pick Mars. Mary spent the last 3 months planning her backpacking trip through Europe. She was beyond excited when she finally hopped on her flight to Rome. She was looking for her seat on the plane when she noticed something very unusual. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell me what's wrong here? Why is there a tiger with a human hoodie sitting in one of the plane seats? This is wrong on so many levels. You walk into a diner for lunch, you order your food, and decide where to sit down. There are only 2 clients in the restaurant, but one of them is really suspicious. Where is it safe for you to sit down? The first guy looks suspicious, especially since he's holding a defensive device. The second girl looks more innocent. She's just sitting, holding a knife and cutting her salad with it. But hey, she's the real danger here. That huge knife is too big for cutting a salad, and it's got a red stain on it. Becca and her boyfriend Tim had a huge argument. He accused her of cheating with him and stormed out of the house. He felt guilty and came back to the house unannounced a few hours later. When Becca opened the door, she looked worried. Take a look at the image. Was Becca lying after all? Yes, she was. If you have really sharp eyes, you probably saw that Becca's lover was hidden right there, next to the fireplace. He hid behind the logs, but you can still see a little bit of his feet coming out. There have been a series of disappearances in Auberville. Last week, a girl disappeared on the walk home from school and reappeared 2 days later, acting really weird. The police investigated what happened to her, and they concluded she'd been abducted. Take a look at this image. Use your logic to figure out why the police think she was abducted. Well, the girl is eating lunch with her hands, but while they're eating normal food, she's eating space food, the same food that NASA astronauts eat on their missions. That's probably why they think she was abducted. Maria is getting married next month. Some people confirmed their attendance last minute, and now she's cracking her head on how to sit them and watch the ceremony. Johnny and Harry are twins, and they can't stand each other. Rory and Emily are also twins that don't get along well. Barb is best friends with the guys, so she asks to sit next to one of them. What should the sitting order be so that no one freaks out? Rory should sit first, then Johnny and Barb. After them, Harry can sit down, followed by Emily. This way, peace prevails. Lily was perusing through her father's old photo albums for a school project. She found a picture of her father and his best friends at a party back in the 1970s. Her dad looked cool, but there was something weird about one of his friends. Can you take a look and see which one of his friends is from the future? It's the guy on the left. Take a look at his jeans pocket. He has a smartphone peeking out, but there were no smartphones back then, were there? He's definitely a time traveler. 3 tourists entered an ancient pyramid and found a chamber with an inscription. "What does not honor the pharaoh shall remain here forever." They saw 3 buttons with the following symbols: the sun, a scarab, and an ankh. There was also a warning that only one button opens the passage, and the others trigger dangerous traps. One of the tourists immediately pressed the correct button. Which button was it, and why did they choose it? It was the ankh. In ancient Egypt, it symbolized life, so it's the most logical choice. A golden amulet went missing during an excavation. Anna claimed she spent the day photographing wall paintings. Jack said he'd been studying the treasure map inside the tent. And Lena said she had been sketching outdoors. But the tracks in the sand led from the tent to the pyramid and back, and those were deep, narrow footprints with small heels. Do you know who took the amulet? It was Lena. She was the only one outside, and the small-heeled footprints point to her. An archaeologist descended into a lost Mayan pyramid and discovered 3 ancient masks. Which mask should he choose to find the treasure and stay alive? He should pick the jade mask with the symbols of the storm god. The Mayans trusted him with their gold and secrets. As for the rest of the masks, the golden snake is a symbol of the underworld, and it can lure one to their demise. And the jaguar is associated with aggression and night hunting, so it can lead Nathan to danger. 3 archaeologists, Dr. Laura, Mr. Thomas, and Professor Blake, are exploring a lost Mayan temple. They discover 3 stone tablets with mysterious symbols and inscriptions. Dr. Laura chooses the mirror-shaped symbol. Mr. Thomas touches the carved serpent's eye. Professor Blake steps onto the stone with a crescent moon. Who is in danger? Professor Blake. He stepped on the moon symbol, which warns he won't return. Mr. Thomas awakens the curse, and only Dr. Laura chooses wisely. She unlocks the path to the treasure. Jack finds an ancient Mayan scroll with an engraved message. Where the sun bids farewell to the day, where the river coils like a snake, where moss always hides in the shade, there the pyramid's peak is hidden from view. Jack stands by the river with a dense forest in the north, rocky cliffs and the blazing sun in the south, a clear path in the east, and a river surrounded by trees in the west. Where should Jack go? West. That's where the sun bids farewell, or sets. The river curves like a snake, and the trees provide shade. Alex arrives at a remote jungle village, hoping to find the lost ruins of an ancient Mayan city. 3 people offer to guide him. A pretty woman wants $500. An old man with a donkey wants $50. A cheerful guy in a Hawaiian shirt promises to guide Alex for $300. Only one of these people is a true guide. Can you tell who? The real guide is the old man with the donkey. He asks for a reasonable price. He's not flashy or pushy, and he has a map and a means of transportation. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is, try to understand. Once, something went wrong. Yep, again. And he got locked in a tiny room. To open the door, the guy had to solve a riddle and enter the correct 4-digit code. What code should Justin enter? Each digit of the code is the number of letters in the alphabet that stand between the letters in the riddle. So, the code is 5139. There are 3 doors in front of you, with snakes, scorpions, and scarabs behind each of them respectively. You need to choose the safest one. Hopefully you know that scarabs are harmless, so you should pick the 3rd door. One day, Julia fell asleep in the park. She woke up in a strange room with 3 doors. There were random objects lying around: bricks, empty bottles, ropes, and even a barrel. There was also a note on the wall. Behind one of these doors, there's a staircase that leads to freedom. You don't want to know what's lurking behind the other 2 doors. Julia got really frightened, but she managed to get out soon. What did she do? She dragged the barrel toward each of the doors, climbed on it, and checked whether the staircase was there. Once she spotted it, she was free. Look at these people attentively. Who do you think is in greater danger? The lion won't necessarily attack the man, of course, if he doesn't provoke the animal. If the guy tries his best to look unthreatening, the lion might simply ignore him. But the snake can easily tighten its grip, which can end very badly for this girl. Mr. Smart's wife went missing. A detective came to investigate this case. Mr. Smart told her that the last time he'd seen his wife had been in the morning. She was having breakfast. When he returned home at 6 p.m., her breakfast was still on the table, but she had disappeared. After hearing the man's story, the detective immediately arrested Mr. Smart. Why did he do so? When the detective arrived at the Smart's house, the breakfast on the table was still steaming. This means Mr. Smart had set up the scene right before he called the police. Do you see anything suspicious in this room? I'll help you. One object is haunted. A small hint: pay attention to those balloons left after a small party. Have you noticed that the red balloon has a pin in it? But strangely, even pierced, the balloon remains intact, and the air is still inside. It must be the haunted object. Look at these elderly ladies. Both of them have gone out for a walk. At first glance, they seem totally normal, but one of them is actually planning something bad. Can you figure out which granny it is? It's the granny on the right. She's got a file hidden in her knitting basket. A renowned chemist disappeared right from his lab. There was no evidence except a piece of paper lying on his desk. It had the names of 5 elements: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, and sulfur. The guard reported that 3 people had visited the chemist that day: his sister Laura, his colleague Nicholas, and his wife Tessa. The criminal was arrested immediately. Who was it? The list of chemicals is a clue. Their abbreviations spell out the name Nicholas.
There are 3 customers in the store. A woman with allergies is looking for food that is safe for her. A man is looking for water and explains he's super thirsty after a long run. A girl is shopping for cat food and says she's in a rush because her cat is waiting. Security notices that the most expensive chocolates are missing. Who took them? The guy with a big shopping bag says he's looking for water, although he has a bag full of groceries. It must be him. At a fusion restaurant, it's time for the show Craziest Dish of the Week. Chef Akira brings out bright blue noodles with a hint of lime. Chef Carla presents a bowl of bright red noodles. Chef Mario brings a plate of regular noodles, but with wriggling octopus tentacles sticking out. One of these dishes could be dangerous if not prepared by a professional chef. Which one? Now, some types of octopus can be toxic if not prepared correctly, so it's the third dish. Food coloring is safe to eat, for the most part. At a store exit, a security guard notices someone is wearing brand new sneakers from the display. There are 3 suspects. A girl in flip-flops says she was looking at jackets, not shoes. A guy in sneakers explained that he had been wearing these sneakers since spring and offered the guard to smell them. The woman said the stolen sneakers weren't even her size. Who seems suspicious? The guy is over-explaining because he is obviously nervous. He must have stolen the sneakers. 3 DIY bloggers are streaming live from a hardware store. The first one is looking for tile adhesive to stop the tiles in the bathroom from sliding. The second one needs caulk to seal the joints. The third one is looking for painter's tape to stick the tiles so they hold. Who's pretending to be a DIY expert but clearly doesn't understand how materials work? Painter's tape doesn't hold tiles, and a DIY expert would know this. So, this girl is lying. 3 girls are trying on wedding dresses. The first one loves the one that highlights her collarbones. Her fiancé is into them. The second one is planning a beach wedding, so she needs a light corset-free dress. The third one only cares about finding comfortable sneakers to match the dress. Which of them isn't a real bride, but just came by here to try on dresses? The first girl doesn't have an engagement ring, and she definitely doesn't look bridal. 3 pregnant women are waiting in the checkout line. The cashier notices a slight twitch in one woman's dress, like something inside just shifted. He suspects that the woman isn't actually pregnant and is hiding groceries under her dress. Which one is it? No pregnant woman would stand in line wearing high heels with no support, so she definitely has something to hide. There were 6 bottles of lemonade in the fridge. The first customer took 2. The second took half of what was left. The third took 1 more bottle. How many are left? They started with 6, so 4 bottles were left after the first customer. The second took 2, which is half of 4. So after the third one took 1 bottle, there was just 1 bottle left. Lisa got a job as a dog sitter. The dog owners told her pets each stick to their diet, but they forgot to tell her who eats beef, who prefers chicken, and who sticks to pork. The food is already in the bowls. How can Lisa figure it out without calling the owners? The collars and the bowls are color-coded, so the dog with the blue collar must eat from the blue bowl. The pink collar gets the pink bowl, and the green one gets, well, you can figure it out. Nancy has a talent for drawing, and her friends always ask her to make birthday cards for them and their families. This time, she painted a beautiful flower with greetings, and she just needs to cut it out. When her friend brings her the scissors, Nancy says she can't do it, and the friend has to finish it herself. Why? Nancy is left-handed, so if she uses right-handed scissors, she can mess up the whole card. Susan had a huge birthday party. Her husband gave her a luxury necklace, but by the end of the party, the necklace was gone. Anyone could have taken it. Do you have any guesses who did it? The waiter did it. Check out this empty glass bottle. The necklace is inside. Mrs. Spikes had to fly to a different city for work for just one day. When she came back, the house was a mess. She got really mad at her teenage son for doing this, but he claimed he had no idea how it happened. He was just sleeping all day after a night of playing video games. Was he lying? The guy wasn't lying. Look at the TV screen. There was a slight earthquake in the area that day. He must be a heavy sleeper. Jake is on a long flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo, and he's got a really chatty neighbor. The woman just won't stop talking, and he wants to rest a bit. He calls the flight attendant and asks her to let him switch seats since there are many empty ones. The flight attendant checks the IDs of both passengers and just laughs. Why? The woman is Jake's own wife. Uh-oh. Kyle, Sue, Mike, and Anna were on the train. Without warning, the lights went out. When they switched on again, Anna was missing. All that was left of her was her phone and one of her earrings. Kyle said he was in the other part of the car when the lights went out. Sue said she was sleeping at the time. Mike was reading a book and didn't see anything. Well, who's lying? It's Mike. He couldn't be reading if the lights went out. Students knew they would have an exam on Monday, but their professor refused to tell them the exact time. Every time they asked, he answered with a riddle. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. Can you guess when the student should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock plus 6 hours is 4 p.m. You'll need to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3, as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4, and 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it, and whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Steve was going home one night when a large cat jumped out of the bushes right in front of him. The animal had large fangs and sharp claws. It was about to pounce on Steve. The guy only had his phone, a handkerchief, and a bottle of water. And still, he came out of the situation unscathed. How did he escape from the cat? Well, cats aren't huge fans of water, so Steve just poured some water on the feline and it scared the animal away. You've got a sack filled with coffee beans. You need to use this coffee to completely fill 2 other sacks of the same size. How can you do it? Put one empty sack into the other and fill it with coffee. Simple.
Look at these two people very attentively. Which of them is in greater danger? The girl is in danger, while the guy is totally safe. Take a closer look at the snake. It's actually a toy with a price tag on it. Now these two girls both look pretty well off, but one of them is actually poor. Can you figure out which one it is? It's the girl on the right. Her t-shirt is a knockoff. She must be poor. These two men seem to have a serious disagreement, while the girl can only watch their argument in despair. But the question is, which man is her father? It's the man on the left. Have you noticed that they have the same freckles on their shoulders? All these men look extremely poor, but one of them is actually a millionaire in disguise. Can you spot him? It's the man in the middle. He's wearing a fancy wristwatch under the coat. One of these guys broke the window, but neither of them wants to admit he's guilty. Can you help the professor figure out the culprit? It's the guy on the right. He lost his shoe doing it. A whole drama is unfolding in this classroom, but see that spilled juice? You gotta figure out who it belongs to. The guy who's feeling unwell has his own juice. Have you spotted it sticking out of his pocket? The girl also has her own drink, water in a bottle. It means the boy on the left spilled his juice. Which of these people is just pretending to be a woman? Do you know who it is? The person in the middle is a man. He's holding his hat instead of the skirt, like a woman would do. One of these girls is so jealous that she's ruined the prom queen's dress. Which of these two is guilty? An obvious answer would be the girl on the left, but have you paid attention to the fingers of the girl on the right? They're stained red. She's most likely the culprit. Karen came home from work and, instead of her only daughter, found two similar girls. Both of them claim to be her real daughter, but one must be fake. Which one? It's the girl on the right. She has 3 hands, see? Weird and creepy. Help the detective figure out which of these police officers is fake. The blonde woman on the left is a fake police officer. Look at her badge. It's different from the others. One of these students broke a school window, but the teacher can't figure out which of them is guilty. Can you help her? There's a baseball in the bushes right there on the left. It means the baseball player must have broken the window. A wealthy man didn't come back home after a jog. The police questioned the maid, the wife, and the driver. The maid said she'd started preparing breakfast when the man left. The wife saw her husband in the morning, but they just greeted each other, and she went to work. The driver told the police he'd been waiting for his boss in the car, looking through his social media. Who's lying? the maid. If she'd cut the apples for breakfast some hours ago, they'd have turned brown by now. Now look at this poor guy. Someone pulled a paint bucket prank on him. Examine his colleagues and try to figure out who it was. It was definitely this guy on the left. Look at his pants.
Hey!
There are paint stains there. Now, look at these travelers and their bags very attentively. Can you spot a smuggler? Why would a blind person need a flashlight in his luggage? That's suspicious. He must be the criminal we're looking for. A restaurant owner called the police. Someone had attacked his chef. Police officers questioned 3 people who'd been in the staff area during the accident. The first cook was cutting onions when the chef was hurt. Tears had blurred his vision and he didn't see anything. The second cook was peeling prawns when the accident happened. He was listening to music through his earphones and didn't hear anything. The waitress claimed she'd been serving lemonade outside. Who's lying? The second cook. There can't be prawns in a vegan restaurant. Can you figure out which of these people is poor? Pay attention to the guy with an iPhone. The apple on the back is whole, which means the phone is fake. You wake up in a room with 3 doors. Someone starts knocking on each of them. You sneak a peek through the peephole. Behind each door, there's a police officer. Which door is safe to open? You can open the third door without any worries. The first man doesn't show his badge and has a knife under his belt. The second man has weird stars on his uniform. The third police officer is the only one with identical stars on his hat and badge and without any hidden weapon. The police were informed that a wanted criminal, Carl Walker, was going to arrive in the country. The man was supposed to come by plane. Unfortunately, the police knew very little about him. He was short, wore glasses, and traveled under a false name. A few police officers went to the airport. They detained 4 people fitting the description: Mr. Lewis, Mr. Relkaw, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Wilson. Who is the criminal? It's Mr. Relkaw. His last name is actually the criminal's last name, Walker, but with its letters mixed. You're in a room with no doors or windows, and it starts filling with water. You can't find any way to turn it off. Help is on the way, but it's at least 5 minutes until their arrival. You only have 2 minutes. After that, the entire room will be flooded. You've got a straw, a rope, or an empty bucket. Which object can save your life? The bucket. Put it on your head, creating an air pocket. You'll be able to breathe for a couple of minutes. You're stuck on a deserted island. Suddenly, you see a ship. What can you use to communicate with it? A smartphone, a box of matches, a megaphone, or a telescope? A smartphone is useless on a deserted island, no signal. A telescope won't help you communicate with the ship. The capacity of a megaphone is too small for your screams to reach the vessel. You gotta use the matchsticks to start a fire. Fire and smoke indicate an emergency, and people on the ship are more likely to see it. On a rainy evening, Megan came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. She questioned her sisters. Maria said she'd been working in her room and hadn't left the whole day. Amelia said she'd never eat someone else's chocolate. And Emma said she'd been outside watering plants in the garden. She'd just come home herself. Help Megan find out the truth. It must be Emma. Why would she need to water the plants outside if it's raining? You were taken away by a scientist who wants to test his new protective cream. After covering you with it, he tells you to jump into one of 3 containers. The first one is filled with radioactive waste. In the second container, there's an acid that can even eat through metal. And the third one's filled with lava from a volcano that erupted a year ago. Which container should you choose? Pick the container with the lava. If the volcano erupted a year ago, the lava must already be solid. Mark was going home one evening when a large cat jumped out of the bushes right in front of him. The creature had large fangs and sharp claws and was about to pounce on Mark. The guy only had his phone, a handkerchief, and a bottle of water. And still, he came out of this situation unscathed. How did he scare away the cat? Cats aren't huge fans of water, so Mark just poured some water on the feline.
Well, ready to do some magic? Take a good look at the shape moving on your screen. What if I told you that you can make it disappear whenever you want? Just keep your eyes on it and hit pause. So, did it work? It's crazy how it just vanished, right? No wonder they call this illusion the disappearing turtle. The same thing happens here. You probably recognize the Pokemon moving in the middle. Yep, that's Charizard. You can see it now, but here's the catch. You can't screenshot it. Go ahead, try it. The second you do, it disappears. Poof! Wow, I promise you, this image is totally flat. It's not 3D at all. But because something called chromostereopsis, your brain gets tricked into seeing depth where there isn't any. And it's not really about this wild tribal pattern. It's more about what happens when we put 2 contrasting colors side by side, like red and blue. See? It even works with a super simple shape. That's because light bends differently depending on its color, so some rays reach your eye a little earlier than others. This rat looks pretty chill, huh? But try gently moving your phone. Suddenly, it starts twerking, or maybe jiggling. Not sure what to call it, but all I know is it's dancing to some random song in my head. Now it's time to make this dog shape. Just stare at the red cross right here. Keep your eyes on the center and try your best not to blink. Yep, just like that. Keep going. On the count of 3, I'll show you the same image of the dog again, but this time he'll be dancing. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Go! Hey, what a talented dog. Whoa, I'm dizzy. Why are these colors spinning like that? But this motion isn't coming from us at all. Yep, it's just an illusion. But don't worry, you've got the power to stop it. Just stare at the center for a few seconds. Focus, don't blink, and there you go. The motion stopped, right? Whew! Something similar happens with these geometric shapes. Keep shifting your eyes quickly from corner to corner, and suddenly, everything looks like it's moving. It even feels like there's a strange 3D sphere in the middle, coming right at you. But again, there's actually no motion at all. Now, stare at the center and watch how fast the whole illusion disappears. See? Alright, this illusion is known as the Ames window. Now, at first, it just looks like a regular window drawn in perspective. But the real magic starts once it begins to move. Now, tell me in the comments, does this window look like it's spinning towards you or away from you? Or maybe both? So, your vision is a mix of what your eyes see and how your brain interprets it. So, when your mind sees something confusing, it has to make a call. It decides what you're seeing based on prior knowledge. That's why it can interpret this motion as moving both ways. Now, same for this cat. Is it spinning clockwise or counterclockwise? The truth is, it can spin both ways. You just have to train your brain to see it. At first, it feels impossible. But after some practice, you'll be able to flip its direction every time it goes around. And precisely because our brains work so hard to fill in the gaps of what we see, you get the next set of illusions. For example, do you see a cube in this image? How about a sphere here, located right in the middle? And in this image, I'm sure you're seeing a triangle. But let me tell you, none of these shapes actually exist. I mean, they're not really drawn at all. This is what we call a closure illusion. Our brains just can't handle gaps in pictures. They make things look too confusing. So our mind automatically fills in what's missing, and suddenly we see shapes that only exist in our imagination. This effect gets even wilder in motion. Take this animation. At first, it looks like there's a white square moving right in the center. But watch what happens when we take away the 4 yellow squares at the edges. See? There's no square at all. It's just 4 lines moving in sync, but totally separate. I know, you're probably staring at the center of this image, just waiting for something to happen. But actually, you need to look around and spot the hidden number. Are you ready to find it? I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. So, do you see it? No? Okay, then try squinting your eyes. When the details blur, the number suddenly pops out. And the answer is 3452839. Hey, well done! Here's another hidden image for you. Can you see it? I hope so, since I just showed you how this trick works. But if you don't feel like squinting, no worries. We'll make your life easier. Let's shrink the image down a bit, until there. Now it's clear. The secret message is hide and seek. Now, check this out. That's an impossible object, also called an impossible figure. This type of illusion drives people nuts, because we see it as a 3D shape even though it could never exist in real life. Take this picture. Up top, you can count 4 columns. But then, when you look at the bottom, there are only 3. Wait, what? Same thing with these cubes. At first glance, it looks like there are 3 solid 3D cubes. But as soon as your eyes follow the edges, the geometry stops making sense. Some edges overlap, or even cut through each other in ways that could never exist in real life. And here's another one, a waterfall that never ends. The water seems to go up, then fall down again, looping forever. But wait, how could water flow uphill against gravity? Well, it can't. And that's the illusion. The picture fools our eyes into seeing a path that is actually impossible. Now, speaking of waterfalls, here's a beautiful one to look at. But you need to focus on the red dot right in the center. Just keep staring at it and don't let yourself get distracted. In a moment, we'll pause this animation, and you'll just be looking at a still photo of the waterfall. But you'll keep seeing it flow, even though it's completely frozen. Ready? Poof. Doesn't it look like it's moving? Crazy, right? The next illusion has a fun backstory. Someone bought a painting at a yard sale and hung it up at home. They always thought the dog in the picture was facing away, looking out at the water. But imagine their surprise when a friend pointed out it was actually facing forward. Ever since then, this painting has been at the center of a big debate online. So, what do you think? Is the dog facing towards you or away from you? Now, see those gray lines in this picture? Well, let's make them disappear. Focus on the red dot in the center and really concentrate. Try not to blink. After a few seconds, the gray lines fade out and you will only see the red dot. Did it work? We just made gray lines disappear. Now let's do the opposite. In this illusion, ghost-like gray rings will appear between the arrows. You just need to relax your gaze to make it happen. And don't stare at one spot. Let your eyes wander from the center to the edges. If that doesn't work, try stepping back or zooming out. The illusion gets stronger from a little distance. So, did you manage to see the gray rings? Well, congrats on making it to the end without a headache. That basically makes you a pro at these mind tricks. But let's see if you really deserve that title. So here's the final challenge. How many illusions can you spot in this picture? Look closely at every detail, then drop your number in the comments. I can't wait to see your answer. Jaden bought a beautiful ring for his girlfriend. He wanted to propose to her at the weekend. He left the ring on his desk at home and went to work. But when he got back in the evening, he didn't find the ring. Only his 3 sisters were at home that day, and all of them didn't like his girlfriend. He went to question each of them. Mia was in her room. She said she had spent the whole day there painting the walls. Emily was in the kitchen. She answered she'd been cooking a birthday cake for her friend. And the youngest, Nora, was in the garden. She said she had been planting roses. It didn't take Jaden long to figure out who had taken the ring. Do you know who it was? It was Nora. She looks too tidy after spending the entire day in the garden. Plus, she doesn't have any garden tools. Carter's literally running home from school. He has a piece of cake waiting for him there. But as soon as the boy opens the fridge, he realizes someone's eaten his cake. It can only be his elder sister Maya. He sees her leaving the bathroom. "How could you? I've been dreaming about this cake for the whole day." "What are you talking about? I came home half an hour ago. I immediately got in the shower and just finished." Carter isn't convinced. His sister's hair is completely dry. Maya is both telling the truth about the shower and lying about not eating the cake. How is it possible? The girl did get in the shower, but she didn't turn the water on. She was just sitting there and eating the cake. Someone stole the money Adam kept in his safe.
Oh my God.
The police questioned 3 suspects. Julia said she'd gone to bed at 10 p.m. and fallen asleep right away. Parker told the detective he'd been watching TV from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And Aiden had said he had been at his friend's playing computer games all night. The police immediately arrested the thief. Who was it? It was Parker. He was very specific about the time. The best player of Julian's volleyball team disappeared right before the game. Julian suspected 3 players from the rival team. Jackson said, "I've just returned from the gym. I was warming up before the competition." Leo had to pick up his wife with her daughter from the hospital. And Ryan claimed he'd fractured his leg, and the team doctor was giving him a massage. Who's behind the player's disappearance? It's Ryan. Getting a massage when your leg's broken? Really? A rich businessman called the police and said a precious vase from his collection had gone missing. When the detective arrived, he found out the businessman had just returned from his overseas trip. While he was away, a security guard was looking after the house. The man was questioned. "It happened last night. I was in the same room with the vase reading. Suddenly, the power went out. I heard the doorbell ring and hurried to open the door, but there was no one outside. When I came back, the vase was gone." The detective didn't believe the security guard and arrested him. Why? The doorbell can't ring if there's no electricity. Caroline went for a walk to the park. Deep in her thoughts, the girl wasn't really looking where she was going. That's why she didn't notice a pit in the ground and fell into it. When she came around, she found herself in a strange room. There were no windows, no door. In the dim light, the girl saw a table with 3 apples on it. And was it a note? "To get out of this trap, you've got to eat an apple. But only one of them isn't poisoned. Pick carefully." Caroline was terrified. But after examining the apples, she bravely bit into one of them and nothing bad happened. Which apple did she choose? The girl chose the apple with the worm peeking out of it. If this creature can eat the fruit, a human can too. Mary worked as a maid in a rich family. Once they left for a one-week vacation. The girl stayed alone and looked after the house. When her employers returned, the wife discovered that 2 of her diamond rings had gone missing. The woman called the police and accused Mary of taking the jewelry. Can you help the girl prove she has nothing to do with the theft? Mary was probably not very attentive while cleaning the house. One of the rings is under the sofa, the other in the bucket. It was the first day of school when the principal's wallet went missing. There were 3 suspects: the gardener, the math teacher, and the coach. Here's what they said. The gardener was mowing the front yard. The math teacher was checking the surprise test he'd given his students. And the coach was meeting new people who wanted to join the school's soccer team. Who took the wallet? It was the math teacher. Nobody gives surprise tests on the first day of school. Landon's mother is going to visit her relatives in another town. Before leaving, she enters her son's room to say goodbye. Oh my, it's a terrible mess. And the boy's playing games on his phone. The woman takes the gadget away and locks it in her safe. I'll tell you the password only after you send me a photo of your room, tidy and squeaky clean. She's at the railway station when Landon sends her the photo. She's happy at first before she realizes it's an old one. How did she understand it? The date on the departure board at the station is December 20th, 2020, but it's July 5th, 2019 on the calendar in Landon's room. Logan is a special agent who's trying to catch a notorious villain. After long months of investigation, he finds the criminal's headquarters. But the door is locked, which is not a surprise really. Logan sees a screen next to the entrance. He touches it and the display lights up. It must be a riddle. Our special agent needs to solve it to get inside. Add 1 line to make it right. 9.5 equals 10, 10, 10. Logan cracks the puzzle in no time. What's the answer? "9.5 equals 10 to 10. The door opens and the man steps into a dark corridor. After walking some time, Logan notices a door. A code lock again. That's when the man also spots a calendar hanging on the wall. At the bottom, there are several letters, M, F, W. After connecting the dots, the special agent figures out the code. What is it? It's 153. The letters stand for the days of the week, Monday, Friday, and Wednesday. Monday is the first day, Friday the 5th, and Wednesday the 3rd one. The door swings open and Logan sees a room. There's not much inside, just an old mattress, several half-rotten fruits in the corner, a small knife half hidden under the mattress, and a water dispenser with a bottle of water on top of it. The villain must have kept someone here. Anyway, there are 4 doors leading out of the room. Behind the first one, there's a mother bear with a cub. The second one leads to a lake with hungry crocodiles. Behind the third door, there's a room filled with toxic gas. And the fourth door hides a wall of fire. With his special training, Logan doesn't need much time to choose the door and leave the room. Which one does he pick? The third one. The agent empties the water bottle. Then he uses the knife to cut it in such a way that his head fits in. His scarf helps to prevent the toxic air from entering the bottle. He runs into a room. In the corner, Logan sees a staircase. It leads to the basement. Down there are 3 men. Each of them is tied to a chair and claims that one of the other two is the villain. They tell Logan they've been locked in there for at least 4 days. The special agent looks at the men attentively and soon figures out who the criminal is. Can you do the same? The villain is the man on the left. 4 days have passed, but he has no stubble whatsoever. Case solved. Allison is a big boss in an international company. One day, she's hurrying to an important meeting when she notices the documents she needs haven't been printed out. But she's asked at least 3 of her subordinates to do it. Ian says he's just returned from the supermarket because they've run out of coffee beans. Robert claims he's been terribly busy drafting a new contract. And Alice answers she's been in the kitchen, preparing snacks and making coffee for the meeting. Who's actually forgotten about the task and making up excuses at the last moment? It's Alice. There's no coffee in the office. Then how could she make it? Uh-huh. Okay, bad news. You got taken. No time to explain. Let's just get out of here. So you find yourself in a dark cell with a dirt floor and a small window at twice your height. There's no food or water, but there's a shovel. Why did they leave the shovel? Don't ask me, I don't know. Just be happy you have it. However, you can't dig your way out because the walls go a long way underground. So, how do you get out? You can still dig and make a high dirt pile that will make you reach the window and get out of there. So you do just that and find yourself in a dark corridor. You have nothing to do but to go straight, hoping that sooner or later you'll find the exit and get out of this creepy place. Half an hour later, you approach a metal door. You have to enter the passcode, but here's a hint. Berlin, 600. Paris, 400. London, 600. Rome, 200. Toronto, what's the passcode? Each consonant in the word gives 200 points, while each vowel takes away 100 points. In the word Toronto, there are 4 consonants that give 800 together. 3 vowels take away 300 points. So the passcode is 500. The door clicks and you leave another obstacle behind. Soon, you approach 3 more doors. Behind the first one, there's an iron block with a movement sensor that will crush everyone who enters. Behind the second door, there's an electric shocker that never misses. Behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the floor. Which way do you choose? You pick the third door, obviously. You're wearing some boots, right? So, walking on the glass is definitely not going to be too hard of a task. You follow the tunnel till you reach the next room. As you step in there, a metal cage falls down from the ceiling and traps you inside. However, there are 3 buttons there. The red button will open the cage, but it'll also open a door with a hungry lion. The blue button will fill the cage with water for 10 minutes, and only then will it open the door. However, keep in mind that people can only live 7 minutes without oxygen. The green button will set the room on fire, but will open the cage door in 5 minutes. Which one do you choose? You should choose the blue button. The water won't be able to fill the cage because it will just splash outside. You'll only have to wait 10 minutes until the door opens, and you'll be able to get out safely. You turn right and immediately bump into a huge guard. Your heart skips a beat and you get paralyzed with fear. To your surprise, the guard looks down at you and asks, "Want to pass?" Speechless, you just nod. Okay. You see, no one here wants to play riddles with me. If you solve one of my riddles, I'll let you go and won't tell anyone I've seen you. Deal? You nod again, and here comes your riddle. What is that invention that lets you see right through walls? That's a window, of course. The guard smiles and says, "Beware of the vampires." Then he moves aside, letting you go. Wow, that was close. And vampires? This gives you chills, but you have to keep moving and get out. And again, another door that requires a passcode. Can you crack it? There's a hint again. You should continue the sequence. OTTFFSSENT. Each of these letters is the first letter of the numbers. O for 1, T for 2, T for 3, then 4, 5, and so on. The last stands for 10, so the next 4 are ETTF, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Yep, that's correct. The door clicks open. Move! You get into a huge dark room. All the light comes from the candles the room is filled with. The problem is that there are 4 ways, and again, you don't know which one to take. Suddenly, each of the doors opens and 4 people walk into the room. There are 2 men, 1 woman, and 1 teenage girl. They all say they're prisoners too, and the other 3 are vampires. Who do you trust? You should trust the second man. He's the only one who casts a shadow from the light of the candles. The other 3 don't, so they must be vampires. So you rush to the man and you shut the door behind yourself. It'll probably slow them down for a while. As you're running, the man tells you he's been here for at least 3 days. The next obstacle is something he couldn't solve by himself, so he couldn't get out. There's just one try, and if you fail, the exit gets blocked for 24 hours. Finally, you come across another door with a robot guarding it. To let you go, the robot needs you to say the password. The tricky thing is that the password is different each time. The man said that as he was hiding in the room, he saw the vampires passing it twice. The first time, the robot said 12, and the vampire said 6. The other time, the robot said 6, and the vampire said 3. When the man approached the robot the last time, the robot said 8. The man replied 4, but the robot didn't let him in. The door got blocked, so it wasn't the right answer. You nod and approach the robot. The robot says 4. What is your answer? The answer is 4. The rule isn't dividing the number by 2, but saying the number of letters in the word. Your answer is accepted. The robot opens the door and lets you go. Again, another dark room. But as you step into it, you get surrounded by 8 hungry dogs. In the middle, there's a meat cake standing so high on the table that the dogs can't reach it. To calm them down and make them your friends before they make you their dinner, you have to feed them the cake. But here's a tricky thing. The knife is magical and can only make 3 cuts. After 3 cuts, it disappears. Your task is to divide the cake into 8 equal pieces with these 3 cuts. How can you manage that? With 1 cut, you cut the cake in half and get 2 pieces. Then you make another perpendicular cut and get 4 pieces. With your last move, you have to cut the cake in the middle horizontally, splitting each of the 4 pieces into 2 at once. Great job! Now, give each of the dogs a piece of cake and get out of there immediately. You rush to the door and lock it behind yourselves. You're in a tunnel again, and this time there's no light at all. You move in complete darkness, putting your hand to the wall so that you know where to go. You walk like that for at least half an hour when, finally, you see some light. You run towards it and come across another massive door that requires a passcode. Luckily, there's a hint again. but there will be 2 questions appearing one by one. To get the passcode, you have to solve both of them and put the answers together. Ready? How many months have 28 days? All 12 of them, obviously. Okay, next one. Here's the sequence of letters. S, M, H, D, W. What are the other 2 letters? S stands for seconds, M for minutes, H for hours, D is for days, W is for weeks. So the next letters are M for months and Y for years. And the full passcode is 12MW. The door clicks and you're outside. Finally! There's actual air and sun. But before you start thinking about what happened and what to do next, a police officer comes up to you. With him, there are 2 ladies wearing paper bags over their heads. "Sir, are you Mr. Jones?" the police officer asks. You reply, "That's you exactly." However, the police officer looks suspicious. "Well, we can't know for sure that you're not one of these criminals pretending to be someone else, so we have to test you. One of these ladies is your bride. Tell us which one it is." And now, you finally remember what happened. It was your wedding morning. You were about to get married, and then you found yourself in that dungeon. Well, the problem is that you haven't seen your wife-to-be wedding dress yet, so you can't even tell which one is the right one. Is there any other way to tell? Think carefully. With their faces covered, these girls are absolutely identical. You didn't need much time. You noticed that one of the girls is wearing a wedding ring already. However, you and your bride aren't married yet, so she's not supposed to have one. And the one who doesn't have it is yours. Congratulations! The girl removes the bag, and you see that it's really her. Right behind you, the door opens and the vampires walk out. You're about to start screaming, but they take off their wigs and they turn out to be your friends. So, was it all a prank? Well, yeah, it was. But don't be mad. You had fun, right? Well, most of the time. Rebecca works in a large international company. One day, she comes back to the office from lunch and finds her colleagues extremely agitated. Oh, they hurry to tell the girl that someone knocked their HR manager out just an hour ago. The police have 3 suspects. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. After all, he made her wait for ages, well past the time of her appointment. She stayed outside in the rain and probably caught a cold. And still, Laura says, I would never hit him. Plus, I'm too weak to do it. Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was having a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob, from research and development, tells the police he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. Who knocked the HR manager out? It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is it possible if it's raining outside? Jack is participating in a challenge. He's got to the last stage, which takes place in a desert. If he succeeds now, he'll win $1 million. Jack needs to get a key out of one of the 4 pots. On top of the first pot, there's a bowl filled with a strong acid. The second pot is covered with a bowl full of venomous spiders. In the bowl placed on the third pot, Jack sees a raging fire. A viper is curled up in the bowl covering the fourth pot. Jack isn't allowed to drop the bowls or turn them over. Which pot should he choose? The guy should choose the third bowl. He can put the fire out with the sand and get the key. Jacob is the owner of a small IT company. Larry is his subordinate, exceptionally talented and just as forgetful. More often than not, he seems to be lost in his head. Such things as going on a trip out of the blue without notifying anybody is typical for this genius. Normally, the boss turns a blind eye to Larry's quirks. But this time, an important business meeting is about to start. Jacob needs the data Larry has been working on, but the guy is nowhere to be found. He doesn't answer his phone, so no one can reach him. 1 hour before the meeting has to begin, Jacob can't wait any longer. He switches on Larry's computer, but it's password locked. The man tries some random combination of letters and numbers, but of course it's wrong. Suddenly, a tiny window appears on the screen. In this window, Jacob sees what seems to be a riddle. Little, late, late. After puzzling over it for a while, the man types something in the window and sees the home screen. The computer is unlocked. What has Jacob written? The answer to this rebus is too little, too late. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. The folder with the needed data is also protected by a password. When Jacob clicks on it, that's what he sees. Write backward all the numbers. Sounds like a tough task. Luckily, Jacob knows how Larry's brain works. He doesn't need much information to write the correct answer and, finally, get the information. What is the password? And there you have it. That's the phrase, all the numbers written backward. Camilla was terrified of dogs. One day she was jogging in the park and noticed a large dog sitting near the bench. It looked unfriendly. The leash attached to the dog's collar was 3 feet long. Camilla decided it would be safe to pass by if there was at least 7 feet of space between her and the pooch. But even being on a leash, the dog still managed to bite her. How come? Sadly, the leash wasn't tied to anything. David's company develops new apps for smartphones. Right now, he's looking for a designer. He's got hundreds of applicants, but has chosen just 3 of them. Angela's resume says, "I'm 23 years old. I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm a fast learner and have already designed similar applications." Helen wrote in her resume, "I'm 26 and have 4 years of work experience. You should hire me because I've created lots of TikTok stories that have gone viral." And Eric's resume claims he's 28 years old with 7 years of work experience. He's designed tons of apps. He's been working for Google since the company was launched. David can hire only one person, but it's okay because only one applicant hasn't lied in their resume. Who is it? Eric has just 7 years of work experience, but Google was officially launched in 1998. There are no stories on TikTok, meaning Helen couldn't create them. David hired Angela. Even though she hasn't been working that long, she's honest and has a nice portfolio. Kevin, a security guard in an amusement park, finds a boy standing near a roller coaster. The kid says his name's Nick. He doesn't know where his dad is. Kevin takes Nick to his office and makes an announcement. Soon after that, 2 men show up at the door. The first exclaims, "We were in a cafe, but after eating my burger, I felt so sick I had to spend almost 20 minutes in the bathroom. When I got out, Nick wasn't around. I was so worried." The other man interrupts him. "We rode a roller coaster together. Then I told Nick to wait there and went to get us some hot dogs." Which man is Nick's father? Nick is too small to ride the roller coaster, which means the second man is lying. The boy's dad is the unlucky guy with food poisoning. Aiden fell madly in love with a beautiful girl, Ella. He tried to spend all his time with her. The man bought her expensive presents and flowers, invited her to the best restaurants, organized yacht trips. They traveled the world, stayed in famous hotels, and went shopping for designer clothes. In less than a year, Aiden became a millionaire. How is it possible? Well, before meeting Ella, the guy was a billionaire. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Carter was desperate. He went to visit his best friend Justin, a coffee shop owner. "Cheer up," Justin exclaimed. "One rich businessman visits my cafe almost every day. He's here today, too. He's very mysterious and doesn't have any social media accounts. Few people know about his wealth, but I do. Go and introduce yourself." Justin pointed toward the back of the coffee shop. Carter went there and saw 3 men. Uh-oh. He hadn't asked his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. In no time, he figured out who was the one he needed. It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a $1 store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. Carter was right. The guy turned out to be a billionaire. He was impressed with Carter's business, but before signing the papers, he mentioned one condition. Carter had to prove he was prepared for all kinds of stressful situations. The man had nothing to do but agree to the challenge. After that, Carter was taken to a remote house and left alone. He was locked in a large room with no windows and 3 doors. Suddenly, the ceiling started to go down. At the same time, the room began to fill with water. Carter knew that behind the first door there was a powerful whirlpool that would take him under the surface in no time. The second door was hiding a school of vicious piranhas. And behind the third one, there was a deep pit with sharp wooden spikes at the bottom. Which door should Carter choose to save his life? Carter picked the third door. Once the pit filled with water, he swam over the spikes and successfully escaped from the trap. When he returned to the office, the billionaire had already signed the contract. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station, tanking his car up. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen the guy's got an electric car. It doesn't need gas. Oliver was attacked in his flat and taken to the hospital. There are 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Wow, I'd find another apartment. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he had been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he had been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who's lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who was repairing his car, and Henry, who was painting, both have such clean hands. But they could be wearing gloves. On the other hand, Sophia's hands and fingers don't have wrinkles. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. Sophia, you've been caught smooth-handed. The police found out there was a new smuggler in town. 3 people were under suspicion. Luna, a school bus driver, Jackson, a fire truck driver, and Daniel, an ambulance driver. All of them claim to have been busy with their work since the very morning. Can you figure out who's the smuggler? Look at the car Daniel drives. On such vehicles, the word ambulance is normally written backward. It's done so that other drivers can instantly read the inverted word in their rearview mirrors. Well, it seems Daniel has given himself away. It was the day when Jacob was supposed to be discharged from the hospital. He had spent a couple of months there and underwent several surgeries. His doctor told him he was going to be fine. It was safe for Jacob to leave the hospital. But the guy didn't believe these promises. In low spirits, he walked home. On the way, he accidentally bumps into an elderly lady. She gets furious and started to shout at Jacob. But instead of arguing back, he hugged the woman and ran home. Why? Jacob had hearing loss. He didn't believe his problem could be helped. But when he heard the woman shouting at him, he realized the doctor had told him the truth. Maybe the doctor should have shouted. Chloe stayed late at the office that day. When she was driving home, the woman was worn out. At one moment, she even started to doze off. That's when it happened. She spun off the road and crashed through the fence that was on her way. She couldn't control the car anymore. It slipped down a steep hill and ended up in a lake. Chloe couldn't move her arms. They were stuck. She couldn't undo her seatbelt or open the door. The car sank to the bottom of the lake. Was Chloe doomed? Rescuers arrived 3 hours later. The woman was still in the car, but she was alive. How did she survive? After the car hit the bottom of the lake, the water only came up to Chloe's throat. It was a very shallow lake. Good thing, huh? It was Jack's birthday, and the fellow got a present he had been dreaming about for ages – a motorbike. The next morning, he rode his bike to college and left it at the parking lot. During lunchtime, Jack decided to check on his motorbike. Imagine his horror when he found out someone had broken the mirrors. The security guard told Jack only 3 other people had left his building in the afternoon. They were Owen and Sam, 2 best friends, and Layla, the girl who once liked Jack but got turned down by him. Owen said he and Sam had gone to the campus cafe to get sandwiches for lunch. Sam confirmed this. He then added the bike could have been damaged by Layla out of revenge. But Layla told Jack her mother had visited her and they had spent 2 hours together. So, who's lying? Owen has a paper bag with food delivery written on it. It means the guys ordered their lunch, not bought it in the cafe. They broke Jack's mirrors and tried to frame Layla. Not a good reflection on them, huh? Detective Taylor was chasing a dangerous criminal. Suddenly, the man entered a hospital. Oh no, there are hundreds of rooms there. Luckily, it was raining, and the criminal left footprints on the hospital floor. The detective followed them and got into a small room. There were 3 people there, all covered in bandages from head to toe. But one of them was a fake patient. Who? It was the dude in the middle. He didn't even have a medical chart next to his bed. Very quick job on the bandages, though. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to their competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. By the time they were back, Victoria had already been sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down. But after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Yep, Victoria and her sticky bun. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When he regained consciousness, he found out he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to write the correct answer and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes two people out of one. What is it? Michael typed the needed word and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Oh, I was guessing a buzzsaw, but this one is better and not as messy. Two best friends, Emily and Luna, came to a popular and expensive hair salon. At first, the administrator told the girls they had just one available hairstylist. But after making a phone call, she happily announced she had found another hairdresser. Emily and Luna could have their hair done at the same time. But in the process, it dawned on the girls that one of the hairstylists was fake. Which one? Both hairstylists are using regular scissors, but instead of hairspray, the one on the left is holding a can of bug spray. Yeah, that's a big clue right there. A man on a bike grabbed Sarah's bag with all her documents, money, and smartphone and sped off. The only way the girl can get her bag back is by taking someone's car and driving after the criminal. There are 3 vehicles parked nearby. Which one can Sarah break into and drive off? Borrow. A man is sitting in the blue car. That's no good. If she decides to take the red car, CCTV will spot her. Her only option is the brown vehicle. Oh, and Sarah, don't forget to return the wheels when you get your bag back, otherwise you'll be Grand Theft Sarah. Mary and her younger brother Alex were mushroom hunting in the forest. Wait, mushroom hunting? What do? Sneak up on them so they don't escape? Anyway, they started a quarrel. Alex got angry and ran away. After several minutes, Mary rushed after him. She was still fuming, but also worried. Soon, the girl reached a small river. A man was sitting on the shore. Did you see a teenager here?" Mary asked. "Yep, he's just taken a boat and made it to the other side." But Mary didn't believe the man. Why? The boat is indeed on the other side, but the paddles are lying next to the man. How could the boy cross the river without them? So, where's Alex? Kidnapped by the escaped mushrooms? We may never know. Ella came to a party that took place in her best friend's house. It was a riddle party. All the guests had to crack mysteries and participate in different challenges. Ella's task was to get out of a locked room in the basement. The girl was blindfolded, taken downstairs, and left alone. After pulling the piece of cloth off her eyes, Ella noticed the door had a code lock. She also spotted a sheet of paper lying on the floor next to the door. There were 4 flowers drawn there. Ella looked at them for a while and entered the correct code. The door opened and the girl joined the party. So, what was the code? Ella counted the petals on each flower. The code was 5748. Carter was visiting his friend Mateo, who lived in another city. Mateo loved riddles. In the evening, he challenged Carter to get the key to the guest room where the guy was supposed to be sleeping. Mateo dropped the key in the bucket filled with cold water and told Carter to get it. But he couldn't touch the water or use anything to pull the key out. That night, Carter slept in the guest room. How did he get the key? He put the bucket over a fire. The water started to boil and soon evaporated. After that, Carter picked the key up. Mateo was steamed. Nora was an insurance agent. Once, her client called her early in the morning. The woman was in tears. At night, someone had broken into her house. By the time the woman had enough courage to go downstairs, the thief had already taken all the valuables. When she looked out of the window, the man was running away. "Do you remember what he looked like?" Nora asked. The client answered, "It was still dark outside. I understood it was a man, tall and thin. He had dark hair and was wearing a V-neck t-shirt." Nora immediately realized her client had staged the burglary. How did she figure it out? It was dark, and the man was running away from the client's house. Then how could the woman see he was wearing a V-neck t-shirt? Beats me. Richard had a collection of beautiful paintings. One day, while he was away, his favorite one got stolen. The police suspected one of Richard's neighbors. Nicole said she had been out of town. She returned home just an hour ago and was so tired after a long drive that she immediately went to bed. Dennis said he had been getting ready to paint his house, but since it didn't seem the rain would stop anytime soon, he went to the movies instead. Julie answered her sister had been feeling unwell. That's why Julie was busy looking after her little nephew. Who was lying? It was Nicole. It had been raining for the whole day. If the woman had returned home just an hour ago, the road under her car would be wet. A wealthy businessman had two sons, Gary and Jeffrey. The loving father doted on his boys. But unfortunately, he had a lot of enemies who often threatened to harm his sons. One day, Gary was rushed to a hospital. He had been poisoned. Jeffrey, scared out of his mind, but feeling okay, went with his brother. When the businessman arrived, he asked Jeffrey what had happened. "We were playing soccer and got awfully thirsty. Some man gave each of us a bottle of water and we drank it all. But then, how come Gary is in a hospital bed, poisoned, while Jeffrey is fine?" The water the boys drank was okay. The poison covered the bottlenecks. Unlike Gary, Jeffrey didn't touch his bottle with his lips while drinking. Kyle has been caught by a mad professor and locked in a room with only one door and no windows. Is the scientist going to experiment on the poor guy? Kyle has to get out of there as soon as possible. After searching the room, he finds 4 keys. On the door, there are 4 keyholes with a number under each of them. Kyle has to match the keys and keyholes, and there's hardly any time left. The professor's car has just stopped near the house. The digits on the door match the number of the angles the geometric shapes on the keys have. 3 people were stopped at the security check of an international airport. They were suspected of smuggling different stuff out of the country. The first man was heading for a beach resort. In his suitcase, there were a lot of things needed at the seaside: an umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, sunscreen, and a beach towel. The second man had a cage with 3 colorful birds and a pet carrier with a family of hamsters. He had all the necessary papers. The third man was traveling for business. In his bag, he had a suit, some documents, a toothbrush and toothpaste, and a bottle of expensive shampoo. Who's the smuggler? It's the third guy. He's bald. Why would he need shampoo? Young fashion designer Robert was preparing for his first show. He was excited and a bit anxious, so he took a break to steady his nerves in a quiet corner. But when it was time for him to present his collection, he was nowhere to be found. In an hour or so, a security guard saw him in the bathroom, lying on the floor. Someone had hit him on the head. The police had 3 suspects. Maya, one of the models, said she had had problems with her dress. "I didn't even have time to leave the dressing room." Catherine, one of the guests, answered she was Robert's huge fan. "I've been wearing his clothes for years. Why would I hit him?" Sam, the designer's assistant, said he had rushed to the nearest coffee shop to get Robert an Americano to calm him down. Can you figure out the culprit? It was Catherine. That day, it was Robert's first show. Then how could she be wearing his clothes for years? Ethan and his girlfriend Anne went to explore a cave and got lost. After some time, they came across 2 people, a man and a woman. The man, bearded and rough-looking, had a shovel in his hands. "I've been stuck here for a week. I know how to get to the surface, but I need your help. Come with me." The young woman exclaimed, "Don't trust him. He's a criminal. Follow me. I've been here longer than him. I know where the exit is." Who should the guys believe? Ethan and Anne decided to follow the man. If the girl had been in the cave for more than a week, why does she look so tidy and has fresh flowers in her hair? Mickey wakes up locked in a basement. The guy has no idea how he got there, probably through a hatch in the ceiling. There are also 3 doors leading out of the room. Behind the first one, there's a deep pit with metal spikes at the bottom. The second door leads to a lake with hungry piranhas. And behind the third door, there are crocodiles. Suddenly, the room starts to fill with water. Which door should Mickey choose to escape? He should pick the first door. Once the pit is filled with water, the guy will be able to swim over the spikes. Adam's car has gotten broken right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter, snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second goes through the area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the second road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bears' territory. These animals sleep in the winter. Lauren has cooked 10 buckets of chicken wings for a family gathering, 1 for each guest. But later, it turns out little Jimmy has been left without his portion. Someone has taken 2 buckets. Is it Uncle Patrick? He looks suspicious. Or maybe Lauren's son Justin. He's wearing this creepy, knowing smile. Or could little Jimmy himself hide his chicken wings in his bag with toys to get another portion? Look at the dog. It wouldn't leave Uncle Patrick's side. It can smell the meat the man has hidden. Look at these 2 girls and their fridges. One of them has never had enough money until recently, when she won the lottery. Which girl is that? It's the girl on the left. High heels, a flashy dress, and a fridge filled to the brim. She looks like a person who has finally managed to get their hands on some big money. Lisa was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her dad trying to control her life. After he told her one day he'd found a fiancé for her, she decided to run away from home. She took enough money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Lisa immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor, but the hotel only has 2 floors. A little girl walks through the park and spots a hungry cat. She decides to share her sandwich with the poor animal. Unfortunately, there's a stream between her and the kitty. She squats down to attract the cat's attention and shows it the food. In no time, the animal is next to her. There's no bridge over the stream, and the cat isn't soaked. How is it possible? It's winter, and the stream's frozen. You're taken into a dark cave. Your mission is to escape without getting caught. 4 different colored doors appear in front of you. A red one leads to an outer galaxy without a trace of oxygen. A yellow door leads you to a great white shark-infested water tank. A blue one leads to 66 million years ago, the time when a massive asteroid hit the Earth and made dinosaurs go extinct. And a purple door leads to a beautiful island filled with beaches and delicious food. On the wall, there's only one clue. It reads, "Pick the door that's not a primary color." You've got 10 seconds to open the right door. It's the purple door. Red, yellow, and blue are all primary colors, while purple is secondary. Plus, don't forget there's beaches and delicious food. You've managed to escape, and now you're transported to the beautiful island. You find a citizen in need. He tells you his brother had been taken by an evil mathematician, and the only way to escape is to solve his riddle. You rush to the scene and arrive at precisely 3 p.m. There, the mathematician greets you with an angry look and a tricky riddle. "If you calculate the height of my tower, you and my prisoner are free to go. If you fail, you'll stay here forever. I offer you 3 calculation methods to choose from: multiple long sticks, your shadow, or the long rope hanging from the tower. I give you 9 seconds." Without even knowing the measurements of the sticks or the length of the rope, even if they're the same height as the tower, you'd still not know the actual size of the building. The best option is your shadow. Knowing your height, you can compare how many times your shadow fits into the tower's shadow. Add them together, and you've just found the right answer. Now that you're safe and sound, you go to your hotel to get some rest. That's when the restaurant manager calls you for help. He left the dinner service, and his staff members said everything was quiet, so they closed up early. Before shutting down the restaurant, the manager asked them to send him a photo of the deserted restaurant. This is the photo I received. Everything seems empty, and it appears my staff members are truthful. But something seems off. Can you help me figure it out? You've got 8 seconds. It appears the image was photoshopped. The employees removed the people from the picture, but they forgot to erase someone's hand from the table. Right before walking upstairs to your room, the HR manager calls you into her office. She needs help with a job application she received for the receptionist position. She's looking for someone who is multilingual and narrowed it down to 3 applicants. But only one person is telling the truth. Sarah is from Belgium, and she speaks Dutch. Louise is from Switzerland, and she speaks Swedish. Marie is from Monte Carlo and speaks Italian. You've got 7 seconds to figure out who is truthful. It's Sarah. In Belgium, they do speak Dutch, French, and German. In Switzerland, they mainly speak German, and in Monte Carlo, French. Time to go to your room and get some rest. But the elevator you entered is a trap. It takes you to the hotel's basement, where 3 doors appear in front of you. The first door takes you to the Amazon rainforest, with green anacondas, electric eels, and poison dart frogs. The second takes you to the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, the largest and most potent current globally. The third takes you to the top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. It's the tallest mountain and largest volcano in the world that goes below sea level. Only one of them takes you to a safe place. Which one? You've got 6 seconds. Pick the third door. Mauna Kea is a dormant volcano, and it stopped erupting hundreds of thousands of years ago, so you're safe. You've made it out of the shady cave and you need to go to your room. As soon as you enter, the lights go off, and you hear bars lowering to the floor and huge chains shaking. You use your arms to navigate around and come across dots on the wooden floor. You run your fingers through them. It's Braille, and it reads, "One of the 3 magic mushrooms on this table will help you leave this place. Pick wisely, otherwise you'll be stuck in this dark room forever." The mushrooms on the left will make you super strong and provides healing powers. The one in the middle will bring the electricity back, and you'll be able to see. The one on the right will make you small and invisible. You've got 5 seconds to pick the right mushroom. Turning the lights on won't free you, and becoming invisible doesn't mean you won't bump into walls. The best option is the strength and healing mushroom. You can bang on the walls and bars until you break them. The next day rolls around. You head into the parking lot to pick up your car, but the car seems to be locked. There's a 3-digit PIN code lock on the passenger side door. On the side of the device, you read a clue. ABC equals 123. On the ground, there's a piece of paper that reads BAD. Use the clue to find PIN code numbers. Here are your 4 seconds. The code is 214. B is the second letter, A is the first, and D is the fourth. Now that you've got your car, time to do some shopping at the mall. You visit a jewelry shop. You discover it has a mysterious extension leading to a room filled with gold coins, diamonds, and other expensive metals. As soon as the owner spots you, he traps you in the room and locks the door. Nice shop. He tells you there's only one way to survive in that dark chamber. You must eat 1 muffin. If you eat the wrong one, you won't make it. But if you pick the right one, you'll be free to go. The first muffin turns you into moss. The second one turns you into a badger. The third muffin will turn you into a snake. 3 seconds. Moss can't survive without the sun for long, and snakes need the sun to regulate their body's temperature. The correct answer is the muffin that turns you into a badger. These creatures spend long periods in the dark. The mayor of the town calls you into his office. He politely ignores the fact that you're now a badger. He says that something mysterious is going on inside one of the town's restaurants. Everyone has turned into a zombie. Only one human is left in the bar, and you must save them. But first, you have to identify them. You're shown a photo with 3 people. Only one of them is human. You've got 3 seconds. It's the lady on the right. It looks like the red spot on her shirt came from her hot dog. The lady on the left is missing part of her ear. Now the mayor takes you to the local school. The principal needs to decide which of the students deserves to go to space camp next summer. She picked all the students that got A's on their report cards and gave each of them a bean. She said, "The person who will return with the tallest bean plant will win the prize, but you can't cheat." All kids came back with large plant pots and bean plants filled with smaller beans. Only one girl returned with a plant pot filled with soil. As soon as the principal saw her pot, he gave her the prize. Why? Here are your 3 seconds. The teacher gave them cold cooked beans. They couldn't have sprouted unless the students cheated. And these guys all got A's, huh? Makes you wonder. The mayor takes you with him on an investigation. A man named Martin had finished his veggie garden and invited his friends over for a party. Then his wife vanished. He called detectives, and there are 3 suspects in front of you. Steve said he was looking at the cherry tomatoes and picked one to try it. Donna said she was checking out the little squashes that had started growing. Martin said he was taking professional pictures of the flowers for his blog. You've got 2 seconds to determine who's lying. It's Martin. This was a veggie garden. It didn't have any flowers. Time for your last test. You're walking into an underground tomb. You must retrieve the treasure and make it out alive. As you walk deeper and deeper into the tomb, you come across a mysterious creature. He says, "You must correctly answer my riddle. If you do, the treasure is yours. If you don't, you'll disappear forever. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air to breathe. If water touches me, I cease to exist. What am I?" 2 seconds. The answer is fire. A tourist got lost and found 3 houses. In the first one, the light is on, but the windows are boarded up from the inside. In the second one, the doors are wide open and a radio is playing inside. In the third house, everything is covered in dust, but there's a warm cup of tea on the table. Which house is the safest to enter? It's the third one. The tea is still warm, which means the owner has just stepped out. Mr. Johnson keeps his socks in a dresser drawer. He always buys them in only 3 colors: brown, blue, and green, and stores them all together. Mr. Johnson has an important meeting. He pulls the socks out of the drawer one by one without looking. What is the minimum number of socks he must take out to be sure he has a matching pair of the same color? Four socks are enough because the first 3 might be all different colors. 3 people are sitting at a table: a doctor, the son of the doctor's father, and the father of the doctor's son. How are these people related? Well, we have the doctor, her brother, and her husband here. The doctor is a woman. The son of the doctor's father is her brother, and the father of the doctor's son is her husband. An archaeologist went down into an underground passage with 3 corridors. He can smell food from the first corridor, but the cobweb at the entrance was untouched. There's light coming from the second corridor, but there were many old torches with no traces of soot. The third passage was completely dark, but the floor was covered in fresh, muddy footprints. Which corridor did he choose to find people? The third one. The footprints are the most reliable sign. Jamie was offered a pay of $20 for every working day, and a deduction of $30 for each non-working day. After 60 days, he got nothing. How many days did he work? If Jamie had worked every day, he would have made $1,200. For each non-working day, he lost $50. Since after 60 days, the worker earned nothing, he lost $1,200. Divided by 50, and we get 24 non-working days. So the number of working days was 36. A famous detective stared at a strange note. It was partly written in Asian characters, partly in numbers, and partly in the English alphabet. Can you read it? It's simple. When you remove all the foreign symbols and numbers, you get I love Brightside. Aww. Three friends boast to each other. One says that she has a loving husband and kids. Another claims she has a brilliant career, a rich husband, and children. The third one says she has all the same, but one of them is lying. In reality, she is a single mother. Who is it? It's the first girl. Her tattoo has two matching symbols, a big and a small butterfly, a subtle hint at mother and child. Lizzie decided to start a culinary vlog to make some extra cash. She filmed the first video about cooking with homemade pasta. She posted it and got a bunch of angry comments saying that she is a liar. Why did her viewers decide so? There are 3 empty instant noodle containers sitting on the counter. Obviously, that pasta wasn't homemade. Sam and Sarah are competing for the scholarship of their dreams from the Astronomy Society. The final presentation will decide who wins. After looking at the presentations of both contestants, the jury chose Sarah and told Sam to get more serious if he wants to achieve something. Why did they say so? Well, in his presentation, Saturn is where the Sun should be, and Mars switched places with our Earth. Airport security receives an anonymous phone call. An infamous criminal is about to try to leave the country with the diamonds and emeralds she stole. The security easily identified the criminal after scanning her luggage. What's suspicious here? This shoe is clearly larger than all the others, and it doesn't have a pair, so she's probably hiding something inside it. Jackson was going home from a night shift and decided to have breakfast at a roadside diner. There was just one more visitor inside and a waitress who seemed a bit weird. Jackson ordered a full breakfast for $20, but when it was time to pay, the waitress brought him a bill that said $505. He paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The waitress typed that number because it looks like SOS. Something is really wrong there. A farmer once challenged an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician to fence off the largest amount of area using the least amount of fence. The engineer shaped his fence like a large circle. The physicist made a long line and said that fencing off half the Earth was the best. The mathematician laughed at them and showed his design, which beat the others. What did he do? The mathematician made a small circular fence around himself and declared himself to be on the outside. Ooh, smart. Nancy stayed late at work and got locked up in the office. To get out, she must guess the 3-digit code to the door. There's a calendar next to it, and it has the letters WMF at the bottom. Can you help her figure out the code? It's 3:15. The letters stand for the days of the week, Wednesday, Monday, and Friday, and the code is their numbers. Now Steve is going on a blind date with a friend of a friend. All he knows is that she'll be wearing a polka dot skirt. When he arrives at the restaurant, he sees 3 girls in polka dot skirts. So, who is the one? There are 3 empty plates and 2 glasses on the first table, so the girl isn't alone. The second girl has almost finished her coffee and is working on her laptop. So it must be the third girl, patiently waiting for Steve. A frog falls to the bottom of a 30-foot well. Each morning, the frog climbs 3 feet up, but each night it slips 2 feet down during sleep. So at the beginning of the first day, the frog has 30 feet to go. At the beginning of the second day, it has 29 feet to go, and so on. How many days does the frog need to escape from the well? At the beginning of the 28th day, the frog will climb the last 3 feet and escape. Ribbit. All right, your brain must be boiling by now. Let's give it a little break. Try to find the hidden animals in these pictures. Here's the first one. Did you notice this bird right here? Now on to the second picture. Yep, it's a butterfly right here. Now, the trickiest of them all. There's a chameleon hiding in this forest. Can you spot it? Well done!